How's it going? Woodspeed Supercoach here at 5 a.m. bashing this out before work. Scored myself a 10.57 this week, which isn't great. The shit especially hit the fan for me on Sunday when Jamal Fogarty was a late exclusion. I actually heard it the game before, but he was playing the last game, so I couldn't do much about it. Very unfortunate. We'll talk a bit more about him. I would consider this score to be just under par. I don't think I'll be seeing any more green arrows this week. I was death riding Luke Metcalf and Kaloa Matangi, so that was a rough watch with them both scoring tons. But these things happen. There's still plenty of origin period for me to shoot ahead. We'll have to decide what we're going to do with Fogarty. Getting into the matches, starting with Dragons Knights. So for the Dragons, Damien Cook top scoring with an 86. Jack DeBellin I had last year. He was quite good for me. Constant 60s, 70s last year. But then it fell off quite heavily towards the back end of the year. I don't know if that was just giving him a bit of a break for the run home and letting some other forwards take the minutes. Not sure what happened there. Toby Couchman, set to lose a little bit of money this week. I think that's just because of his last game where he was injured. But he's looking like a proper option that we can look at. Maybe not this week. He is kind of at an awkward price, but if, say, a Dragons forward is all you need to sort out your origin cover, then I really like him. Hamish Stewart's also been doing a job for me. And realistically, okay, he's gone up a lot of money, so about 100k difference between him and Couchman. So if you're going one or the other, I'd probably go Couchman for the extra points, but I'm quite happy to hold on to Hamish Stewart. Gutherson, 63 is fine, you take that. We were talking about him as an option to bring in instead of Turbo. How many people actually did that, I don't know. But you wouldn't be too upset with a 63. The fullbacks didn't quite pop off too much this week. I think that's all the relevance for the Dragons. Christian Tuipulotu should be back next week. He is about 600k, I think. 640k, averaging 85 in 5 games, which is ridiculous. Obviously, that's inflated with a few upside scores, but he definitely has some ceiling in him. I think this is a pretty good representation of what you're going to get from him. 128, 99, 75, 95, but a 32 in there. And that 32 being against Melbourne, and it is worth noting that that 128 was against the Bulldogs, who have very good defence. So I don't really know if I'll be going in. The next trade-in I would like to get in for centre wing is Kale Iro, but anyone looking at Christian Tuipulotu, it could be an interesting little pod. And let's have a look at the Dragons run. So we got Dolphins, Sharks, Bye, Para, Canberra, Sydney. It's not awful. 16 is a tricky round because you need your full 19 players. I can't remember if it's 18 or 19 with the flex, just full team. So that does make me lean towards the Sharks a bit more, who miss round 18, where you only need 15 players, and I have 16 available, not considering the whole Jamal Fogarty thing. But yeah, if it suits your team, I like CT as a play. For the Knights, Kai Paul top scoring with an 89. He's just not that Supercoach relevant. I think maybe next year, if he starts getting some consistent offloads, tackle busts, some attacking stats, he could be an option. He's just not quite there yet. Dane Gagai I was looking at as a pod, mainly due to the goal kicking, which isn't going to stick around for too long, but it is proving to be valuable. I don't actually know if he goal kicked this game. I was definitely not watching this poo slinger. But yeah, he's still 585k. It's just a bit scary going with anyone from the Knights. Like, they should really score some points against the Dragons. Although in saying that, the Dragons have been D'ing up pretty well. Dylan Lucas with a 52 is absolutely fine. He's still averaging tons over the past 2 weeks, so you absolutely take the 52. Fletcher Sharp with a 45 is fine. A little bit more involvement would have been nice. Now, I can't remember if it was Cogger or whoever the designated halfback was for this week for the Knights, but one of them got an ankle injury. I'm going to assume it was Cogger with a 17, but he is known to go pretty low at times, so, I mean, realistically, no one's got him or looking at him. But we could see some more shuffling in the halves for the Knights. Surprise, surprise. We'll see what happens there. Titans Storm. I nearly played Wishart over Munster this week just because I thought Munster would take a bit of a back step and let Jerome Hughes do the work, which also didn't really happen. But it's good to know that Wishy has some decent scores in him, sitting in my second 5'8 slot there. I'm thinking what I might do as well is sell Fogarty, shift Wishy up to halfback, and then maybe bring in a Jaden Campbell or something like that, who went and scored a 93, so that would have been very nice this week. Would have pushed me up to a respectable score, but you can't win it all. Anyway, Campbell top scoring for the Knights. There was mention of a little knee complaint here. NRL physio says he's pretty keen on bringing him in next week, so I can't imagine that's too relevant. So Campbell with a low score of 46 is great. A ceiling of 117, that's great. And he looks to be averaging about 70. So worth the 700k price tag. I was not going to be considering him because I didn't want to be bringing in a 5'8 gun when I'm not planning on having two 5'8s at the end of the year. But now with this Fogarty shit, probably going to happen. Tino with a 57 is very nice. I sold him for the Origin period. You just can't expect forwards to back up and play their usual minutes. That's a bit of a stretch. So happy with that sell. Similarly with Fermor, 52. That's a bit closer to what we expect from him as a score. He's no Tino. That's about it for the Titans relevance. Now, Faulongo, 532k. We don't know what's going on with Will Warbrick. He's struggling to recover from this concussion. And it is literally, again, to put it in the words of NRL physio, throw a dart at the calendar, that's probably when he's coming back. We don't know. With concussion, it's quite tough. I really like Faulongo as a pod play. He is a beast. He's so fun to watch. He's got a ceiling. He can go low. It's quite a fun pick. And being on the wing of Storm, he should get some attacking stats. So Storm, they're this top column up here. Cowboys, bye. Souths. So I would say coming into round 16, if there's no good news on Warbrick, I think I might be bringing him in as a pod. Need to start making some pod plays so I can move around the ranks a little quicker. But yeah, that's something to consider, as well as Warbrick himself when he comes back. I'm not sure what he's priced at. I'm not going to check because we don't know when he's coming back, but one to keep an eye on. Eli Katoa with a 68 is great. Traded him in, was it this week or last week? I don't remember. But I like that trade. He can keep pumping those out for me. Pappenhausen with a 63, also fine. I'm sure he's got some more higher ceiling games coming. Munster with a 41, also fine. He's backing up from Origin. Jerome Hughes with a 32. If you're holding on to him, you wouldn't be very happy with that. I really would have expected him to take this game by the reins. Jack Howarth coming back with a 37. There were whispers of him coming back on the wing. If that was to happen, I'd be looking at him, but at centre, there's just not quite enough there for me. As for injuries this game, obviously Jaden Campbell with his knee complaint, but also Jalen de Groot did a hammy. So maybe we see a fullback and or centre wing cheapie pop up for the Titans if people are looking to downgrade Toya now that he won't have a ridiculous break even. It'll still be pretty low, but whether we hold on to him now, we'll have to wait and see when the scores come out. Cowboys Tigers. So Reece Robson and Sam McIntyre both with unknown injuries. So probably nothing too dramatic. But for the meantime, don't go anywhere near those guys. I have been saying this year that eventually Dearden is going to become a gun option. And looking at his stats, I think we're starting to see that. If we go from round 4, he has a low of 42 with a bit of ceiling in there. 143 is fucking massive. But if we look at the start of the season, 18, 28, 21. Now, granted, that's when the Cowboys were going like a busted, and they're doing a lot better now. So I think Dearden has slipped into the option category. I don't hate it, and the Cowboys have really good Origin cover. They play the rest of them. Obviously, he's an Origin player, so that's something to consider. So he would miss 15 and 18, but he has the opportunity to back up for both of those. So realistically, you'd be looking at Melbourne, bye, maybe the Roosters, definitely the Gold Coast, and then maybe the Bulldogs away. Okay. This is why this table's good. It just talked me out of doing that. Anyone who held on to Jackson Purdy, you'd be cheering. How much is he now? He's actually gone down. So you'd be happy with the score, not so much with the price. Drinkwater with a 71 is one of the better fullback scores this week. He is hemorrhaging cash. So he is coming back into the conversation of whether you bring him in or Turbo. Realistically, Turbo's still half the price. And don't you worry, we'll get to Turbo. Derby with a 31 is whatever. We're not going to be holding on to him for too much longer. And Murray Taulagi is eyeing off a potential return next week, so that could see the end of Derby, Vilea, one of them. Taulagi will also be in contention for that Origin spot, so don't go diving on him right away. God, anyone who went Stafford Toa as a cheapy pod. He's made a good bit of money, and that's a massive score, so well done to you. Heath Mason with a ton. You'll love to see it. From 5'8", I believe. So he will change price on his next game. He's fullback only, though, which is a bit rough. And I don't think we would be looking to make money in a fullback spot. It's all about points down there. Terrell May with a 78 with the captaincy. That's fine. We'll take that. There wasn't too many guns banging this week, at least in my team. I know of a few players not in my team that went pretty well. And realistically, I don't know if we're considering any of these guys down here. Let's move on. Seagulls Broncos. Olakuatu gets his double, and you'd really think that would be enough for him to crack the ton, but it's just a little bit bleak from Olakuatu. Like, if I opened up this score panel and had a look at these scores for the year, I don't think I'd want to buy him. But he's just doing enough to stay in the team. We all know how good he is, so definitely won't be selling. Clayton Falalo. He is an absolute weapon. Saab is only out due to illness, so I don't think he's going to hold this spot. But yeah, looking at this, definitely rocks or diamonds. You're looking at an 8 or a 70. So I don't think we'll be touching him, but he is great to watch. Kohler has been one of our most consistent players of the year. You rarely see him in Supercoach teams outside of that time he went to fullback for the end of the year and got like a bunch of 150s in a row. So we can see a bit of ceiling there. Otherwise, you're looking at around a 60 or a 50. So Jazz Tavanga. Josh Aloiai is down with a hammy injury. So there are yet again minutes to fill in the forwards for Manly. That seems to be a reoccurring theme this year. We just can't hold on to our fucking forwards. But I quite like this. I probably won't be doing it because I brought in Cam McInnes, but if you still have a couple of dud hookers or whatever and you need to get one in, I really don't mind Jazz Tavanga. We'll look at his more recent scores where his minutes are up. So when he's playing 57 to 80 minutes, you're looking at about a 60 with a potential for some upside there. So that is around about McInnes' scores. McInnes is a little bit more consistent, but has a bit less upside. So we'll call Tavanga the more exciting McInnes. And he's also cheaper. So if that suits your team, go for it. As for the Broncos, pretty weak showing this game. They just were not up for it. Nothing too crazy to mention here. Payne Haas with a 60, coming off Origin, that's fine. Ezra Mam getting booed every time he touched the ball. I loved it. And realistically, it's pretty dire over at the Bronx. We'll have to see what happens when Ben Hunt comes back and then when Reece Walsh comes back. Maybe they make a late push at the end of the year, but they've left it pretty late. I'm not sure where they're sitting on the ladder, but I can't imagine it's too good. Rabbitohs Warriors, this was a tough watch. Death riding Koloamatangi and Metcalf, who scored 130 points. Sorry, 230 points between them. Fucking hell. I wish I had Metcalf for this week, but it's just my confidence in him is growing. The Warriors are doing better. He's doing better consistently, but I don't know. I just have a feeling to not bring him back in, and that's probably going to bite me. Anyway, we'll start with the Rabbitohs. Latrell Mitchell, 113. This is a bit more what we want from him. It's just these low scores. He's not priced too crazy. And let's have a look at their run. So they've got Canberra at home, which is not easy, but he could get into his work there against a younger team. Bulldogs at home's tough. Melbourne at home's tough. Dolphins at home? Are they coming into a vein of form? Maybe that's tough, but who knows? Manly, another wildcard team, who knows? And then a bye. I don't like that draw. If he was coming up against a bunch of soft teams, then an upside player like Latrell could be an option, but I won't be going near it. Koloamatangi is a serious option. I was watching this game like, right, if he scores a 70 or an 80, that's fine, and then he scores a try immediately and hurts my rank as I try to climb back into the top 1,000. He's only selected in 6% of teams, but if we filter by the top 1%, he is owned by something ridiculous, like 80%. So that really hurts me. And I might have to look at getting him in, but then I've got 4 top-tier gun front rowers, and I just don't need that. So I think I'm going to have to continue to death ride him, which is scary. Alex Johnston slowly getting up towards the top all-time try scorer. I'd love to see that for him. As for a Supercoach option, Not that keen. Hubner scores over a 40 as soon as I sell him. If you're holding on to him, you'd be happy with that. Few people would still be holding on to Jamie Humphries for that 23. Oh wow, he's down below 300k. You're probably not wanting to sell him for that price. That's a tricky one. I'd probably just sit him on my bench and play him on matchups. If you need the extra number, he's handy, but not with the score like that. For the Warriors, obviously Metcalf. CNK and RTS both doing well. Still don't really like either of them as Supercoach options. Aaron Clark's been killing it for everyone who held on to him. He's 700k now. And honestly, I reckon you just hold on to him. It's not worth the trade. I don't think there's any trade that's worth taking him out. If you got the trade perfect, then maybe you'd get like another 5 points a week on it. It's just hold on to him. He's doing fine. Halasima doing okay. Voimunga, one of his better scores of the season. I don't know if he got a few more minutes. DWZ 38, just not going anywhere near the triple barrel names in this team. If you were going to go any, maybe Fisher Harris, but I don't even like that much either. Mitch Barnett with a 16. I think he got injured. He'd have to, right? He doesn't score that. Yeah, Mitch Barnett with a knee injury. Bailey Bentley Harpe with a groin. Jamie Humphries with a cork. That explains that score. And Rocco Berry with a hammy. So not too much Supercoach relevance there outside of Jamie Humphries, but there could be a little bit of a shake-up in the Origin team if Barnett hasn't recovered by then. But that's a little bit down the track, so we won't worry about that now. Nathan Cleary with an 87 in this game. I'm fine with that. It would have been nice if I had Jamal Fogarty to try and compete with him against that score, but against the Eels, I know the Eels like aim up for the Panthers all the time, but there was a world where Cleary goes 150 here, so I'm glad that didn't happen. Toto with a decent score. He could be an option for the run home. You feel like the Panthers will absolutely go savage for the run home because they're not that many wins out of the top 8. They can still make finals, but they will really have to make a push. Other Supercoach options. Isaiah Yeo going low. Glad I sold him. He is backing up though, so that's fine. Nothing too exciting there. And likewise for the Eels, these are all scores you'd expect. 68 from Brown, yeah, fine. 62 from Lomax, yeah, fine. Iongi with a 52. Mitchell Moses going low. That's interesting. Maybe he could be a Fogarty option. So the Eels have just played Penrith. They have the Bulldogs away next week, which is quite tough. Round 15, they've got the bye, which Moses will miss anyway. Then they have the Gold Coast at home, which is either a good matchup for Moses or a good opportunity for him to be rested. St. George away, misses the bye for Origin anyway, and then Penrith at home. I don't love it. It's really annoying. The halfback options, Fogarty is just the best option. So hopefully he gets named to play next week, but otherwise if he doesn't, we have a real head scratcher. At least I do. So yeah, not too much to go over in that game. We will move on. Actually, Riley Smith at hooker. Up to 400k, he's made a good bit of money. How are his scores doing? Yeah, about what you'd expect from a 400k hooker. Little bit of upside there with a 60 and a 50, but nothing to write home about. Finally, Roosters Raiders. James Tedesco top scoring. He was the standout fullback this week. I feel like there's a few people out there that might have captained him for about an extra 15 or 20 points over Terrell May. Sandon Smith with a 78, he just keeps hurting me. But you just wonder how many people would still be holding on to him if the Roosters didn't have this glorious Origin cover. So yeah, not too upset with that. Crichton with a 76 after backing up, that's impressive. Likewise for Watson, even though he didn't play too many minutes in Origin. Toya with that try late to save himself from a pretty shitty score. So that late try will see him still have a negative break even next week. But I can still see myself selling him. We've got a lot to move around this week. And he's just one that makes sense to go. He frees up a bit of cash. He'll be up at 600k this week. Maybe I sell Billy Smith instead, but that gives me way less money to work with. So we'll have to just see how much he's projected to rise again next week. He could be our ticket to KLRO. Few people might have Wong, 59, you take that. It's about what he's priced at. Yeah, 9% of teams. Few people will have him. Savala with a 56. I'll take that. We know he can go much lower than that. He is nicely warming up to this role. 125 there recently, but it is against the Bulldogs, so don't have to look at that too heavily. Obviously, his 95 last week was huge. So yeah, we'll take a 56. That's fine. Steep and Fiketti with 50s. If you picked up either of them, you'd be happy with that. Billy Smith coming in as my AE for a 45. He needs a big game to get a decent break even or price or anything. It's just a little bit boring. Nwakani looked like he could have been in for a huge score this game, but after he scored that try, he didn't really do much at all. So perhaps he goes into the sell category. I could straight swap him for Iro. Yeah, we got him in for a few good scores. Could it be a good time to jump off? I don't know. I think we'll hold on to him for a little bit longer, but if I just need that little bit more cash, maybe he's the one that makes way. As for the Raiders, Tamale, scoring just about a ton. I really fucked up by not getting him at the start of the year, but just all those question marks around it. Hudson Young just keeps doing what he's doing. He is definitely a target for the run home. He's a freak. Tarpany with a 60. So a lot of the top 1%ers flocked to him. It must just be that he's not quite translating to Supercoach points because he has been playing very well. Oh, and Paddy. I don't know if he actually ended up starting because I came into this game like 10 minutes in and Danny Levi was on the field. But he definitely got more minutes. He got about 48 minutes. 56 in that. You absolutely take that. He kicked a 40-20. He got a try assist that he was very close to scoring himself. So it's finally starting to pay off, holding on to Paddy. Hosking, if you picked him up, you'd be fine with that. Horsburgh, a little bit of a down week, but that's alright. We'll take a 50. And that's all the relevance there. So, we have 171k in the bank. We can pretty much straight swap Fogarty for Campbell, and we'll still have that 170k in the bank. And we'll do that by moving Wishart to halfback. And then maybe 171k is enough to upgrade Billy Smith to either Kaolero or Tom Trebojevic if he's named. I do want to reiterate with Turbo that I still think getting him in at the right time this year is crucial. He looked levels better in the last game he played compared to the previous one. And now that he's had another couple of weeks off, I think he could really come in and start doing some damage. So Manly have Newcastle next week, and we've seen how they've been going. I think they're a team to target, followed by the Titans, also a team to target. And then he does miss round 16, which is tough. But then he has the Tigers and Souths missing round 19 again. I just don't think that's 4 matches you want to miss. If Turbo's fit, he could quite easily ton up in all 4 of those. I really don't think that's something you want to miss out on. It's going to be quite hard for me to get Turbo and Kaolero in, unless I sell Nwakani or Toya. And then that does give me that extra number for 16 and 19. So bringing Turbo and Kaolero in is kind of a nice combination because they complement each other on the weeks they don't play. So I think I'm going to have to find a way to do that. So not an ideal week for me. Not terrible week. I think I've scored around about par. I think 1100 is fine. 1200 you'll be seeing green arrows. Anything below 1100 you might lose some ranks this week. Before I wrap up, I want to mention I didn't get my late mail video out, so I didn't get the second $10 for you guys to comment bets with up in time. So we'll just add that on to next week. So we'll have a $20 budget next week. But I'll mention that again in my TLT video when we actually know who's playing and who we can punt on. That'll do it. Keep your eyes out for the TLT video. There's going to be quite a bit of relevance in there. And there's going to be quite a bit of movement in trades next week with all the shit that's gone down this week. Anyway, see you then. Uru.